The pen slipped from my fingers and clattered onto the kitchen table. My dad's voice exploded through the room like a bomb going off. "Stop acting like a victim and just sign the papers." His face was red, twisted with anger I'd never seen before. Mom stood right beside him, clutching a thick folder against her chest. Her eyes were wet with tears, the fake kind that trembled just enough to look real but never quite fell. I'd seen this performance before. The wounded mother act. The guilt trip dressed up as love. But this time felt different. This time, the stack of loan documents sitting in front of me wasn't for a few $1,000s. The numbers jumped off the page. 6 figures. My name at the top. My social security number. My credit score that I'd worked so hard to build. My entire financial future tied to whatever scheme Mom had cooking this time. "Brooke, honey," Mom whispered, her voice breaking perfectly on cue. "You know I wouldn't ask if it wasn't important. This is just temporary. Just until things settle down." I stared at both of them, my heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. "My name is Brooke Lawson. I'm 28 years old, and until this moment, I thought I understood what family meant. I thought helping your parents when they struggled was just what good daughters did. I thought love meant sacrifice. But sitting at that kitchen table with my dad glaring at me like I was the worst person alive and my mom's manufactured tears glistening in the light, I realized something cold and terrible. This wasn't love. This was control. This was manipulation wrapped in guilt and tied with a vow made of obligation. "You owe her," Dad said, his voice dropping to something low and dangerous. "She gave you life. She raised you, fed you, put a roof over your head. And this is how you repay her? By being selfish." The words hit me like slaps. Each one landed exactly where it was supposed to, right in the soft, vulnerable parts of my heart where doubt lived. Maybe he was right. Maybe I was being selfish. Maybe I should just sign. My hand reached for the pen again. But then I remembered. The first time. 3 years ago. It had seemed so harmless back then, so small and temporary. Mom had lost her job at the dental office. Budget cuts, she'd said. She'd come to me crying, really crying that time, telling me she just needed help with one tiny car loan. "Just co-sign this one thing, sweetie. My credit's not great right now, but yours is perfect. They'll approve it with you on there. I promise I'll make every payment. You won't have to worry about a thing." I remembered sitting in her living room, watching her wipe her eyes, feeling her pain like it was my own. She was my mother. She'd always been there for me. How could I say no? So I'd signed. Just my name at the bottom of the contract. Simple. Easy. She'd hugged me so tight, told me I was her rock, her angel, the best daughter in the world. For weeks after, she'd called me every day just to thank me again. It had felt good. Like I'd done something important. The first missed payment notice arrived 4 months later. I'd opened the envelope thinking it was some kind of mistake. But there it was in black and white. Payment overdue, late fees accruing, contact our office immediately. My stomach had dropped. I'd called Mom right away, my voice shaking. "Mom? I got this letter from the bank. It says the car payment is late." There was a pause on the other end. Then her laugh, light and dismissive. "Oh honey, that's just a mistake. You know how banks are. Always messing up their paperwork. Don't worry about it." But I did worry. I called the bank myself. The woman on the phone confirmed it. 2 payments missed. My credit score was being affected. When I confronted Mom again, she'd sighed like I was being dramatic. "Brooke, I'm going through a rough time. Can't you just cover 1 or 2 payments? I'll pay you back." Dad had been there that day too. "Don't stress your mother out," he'd warned me. "She's dealing with enough." So I'd paid. Because that's what family did, right? But 1 payment became 3. Then 6. Then suddenly I was making the entire car payment every month while Mom drove around in her new sedan like she'd bought it herself. When I brought it up, she'd get emotional. Tears. Guilt. "After everything I've done for you, you're going to begrudge me 1 car payment? You wouldn't want me to lose my transportation, would you? How would I get to job interviews?" Dad would jump in with his favorite line, "Family takes care of family." So I'd swallowed my frustration and kept paying. But the car loan wasn't the end. 6 months later, Mom needed help with a credit card. Just a small one. For emergencies. Then another loan. For house repairs. Then a line of credit. Just in case. Each time, the same routine. The tears. The guilt. The promise that this was the last time. Dad's voice telling me I was being heartless if I hesitated. And each time I signed. Because saying no felt like betraying them. Like proving I didn't love them enough. The real wake-up call came on a Tuesday morning. I'd gone to my mailbox and found an envelope with my name on it from a bank I'd never heard of. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was a statement. An account in my name. Balance. $40,000. I stared at those numbers until they blurred. $40,000. I'd never opened this account. I'd never touched this money. But there was my name. My information. My signature, except I didn't remember signing anything. My breath came short and fast. I drove straight to Mom's house, the statement clutched in my hand. She was in the kitchen making coffee, humming like everything was fine. "Mom," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. "What is this?" She glanced at the paper and had the nerve to smile. "Oh, that. Yeah, I needed a little extra help last month. You know how it is." I felt something crack inside me. "You opened an account in my name? Without telling me?" Her smile faded. "Don't be dramatic, Brooke. You're on all my accounts anyway. What's one more? What's one more?" I repeated, my voice rising. "Mom, this is $40,000 of debt in my name that I didn't know about." That's when the tears started. Her face crumpled like I'd slapped her. "How can you talk to me like this? After everything I've sacrificed for you? I changed your diapers. I stayed up nights when you were sick. And now you're going to stand here and accuse me of what? Stealing." I opened my mouth to respond, but Dad's voice cut through from the doorway. "What the hell is going on in here?" Mom turned to him, her tears flowing freely now. "She's attacking me, honey. Our own daughter is calling me a thief." Dad's face darkened. He looked at me like I was something disgusting. "Get out," he said quietly. "Get out of this house right now." "Dad, just listen. Now," he roared. "Before I say something I'll regret. You're ungrateful, Brooke. Absolutely ungrateful." I left. But I took the bank statement with me. And something had changed. For the first time, I felt anger instead of guilt. 2 weeks later, my phone rang from a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Is this Brooke Lawson?" The voice was professional, cold. "Yes." "This is Marcus Cole from Premier Collections Agency. We're calling regarding account number ending in 7823. You currently have an outstanding balance of $42,600 that's 90 days past due. We need to discuss immediate payment arrangements, or we'll be forced to pursue legal action." The room spun. My mouth went dry. There must be a mistake. "I'm not. Ma'am, you're listed as the primary account holder. The debt is legally your responsibility. If you can't pay the full amount today, we need to set up a payment plan. Otherwise, we'll be filing a lawsuit and garnishing your wages." He kept talking, throwing around words like judgment and credit destruction and court dates, but I couldn't hear anymore. The phone slipped from my hand. I was going to be sued. For debt I didn't even know existed. Because of my mother. I sat on my apartment floor for 3 hours that night, just staring at the wall. The debt collector's threats echoed in my head. Lawsuit. Garnishment. Credit destroyed. My entire future crumbling because I'd been stupid enough to trust my own mother. But somewhere in those 3 hours, something shifted. The guilt that had controlled me for years started to burn away, replaced by something colder. Something sharper. Clarity. My mother wasn't going to stop. She'd keep using me, bleeding me dry, until there was nothing left. And Dad would keep enabling her, keep telling me I was the problem for not being a good enough daughter. Unless I stopped them. I stood up and opened my laptop. Then I started gathering evidence. Every text message Mom had sent asking for just one more favor. Every email about loans and credit cards. Every bank statement showing missed payments. I created a folder on my computer and labeled it Documentation. I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it yet. But I knew I needed proof. Proof that I wasn't crazy. Proof that this wasn't normal. The next morning, I went to breakfast at Mom's house like nothing had happened. She looked surprised to see me. "Brooke, I didn't think you'd come after last time." I smiled and hugged her. "I'm sorry I overreacted, Mom. I was just stressed." The relief on her face was instant. "Oh honey, I knew you'd come around. You're such a good girl." Over pancakes, I asked casual questions. How were the car payments going? Were the credit cards manageable? Did she need help with anything? She answered freely, relaxed now that she thought I was back under control. "Actually," she said, pouring more syrup, "there might be one more tiny thing I need help with. But we can talk about it later." I nodded and smiled. But under the table, my phone was recording every word. For the next 3 weeks, I played the perfect daughter. I showed up for family dinners. I helped with groceries. I laughed at Dad's jokes. And the whole time, I was watching, listening, documenting. Mom had no idea she was being studied like a bug under a microscope. On a Friday afternoon, I walked into First National Bank and asked to speak with a loan officer. The woman who met me was maybe 50, with kind eyes and graying hair pulled back in a bun. "How can I help you today?" she asked. I slid the bank statements across her desk. "I need to understand something. These accounts are in my name, but I don't remember opening all of them. Can you tell me what's going on?" She looked at the papers, then typed something into her computer. Her expression changed. Concern flickered across her face. "Miss Lawson, I'm going to be honest with you. This is unusual." "Unusual how?" She hesitated, choosing her words carefully. "You have 7 different accounts with us. 3 credit cards, 2 personal loans, 1 line of credit, and 1 auto loan. The total debt is approximately $96,000. The number hit me like a truck. 96,000. "But here's what concerns me," she continued quietly. "Some of these signatures don't match our records of your signature from when you opened your checking account with us 5 years ago." My hands started shaking. "What are you saying?" The loan officer leaned forward, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm saying someone may have forged your signature on at least 2 of these applications. That's fraud, Miss Lawson. That's a crime." I drove home in a daze, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. $96,000. Forged signatures. Fraud. The words kept spinning through my head. At a red light, I looked at my reflection in the rearview mirror. I barely recognized myself. When had I become this person? This doormat who let her own mother commit crimes using her identity? Every good memory I had of my childhood suddenly felt tainted. Was any of it real? Or had Mom always seen me as just a resource to exploit? Did she ever actually love me, or was I just useful? The light turned green. Someone honked behind me. I drove forward, but inside I felt like I was still frozen at that intersection, trying to figure out when everything had gone so wrong. That night, I spread everything out on my dining room table. Bank statements. Credit card bills. Loan applications I'd gotten copies of. I compared the signatures carefully. Some were definitely mine. I remembered signing those, even though I'd been manipulated into it. But 2 of them were different. Similar but not quite right. The way the B curved. The loop in the L. Small differences, but they were there. Mom had literally forged my signature. My own mother had committed fraud in my name. I took photos of everything. Close-ups of the signatures. Wide shots showing the dates and amounts. I backed everything up to the cloud, to an external hard drive, to my email. I wasn't taking chances. Then I called the bank and reported the suspected forgery. They said they'd investigate. That it would take time. But it was started. The machine was in motion now, and nothing could stop it. Sunday dinner was tense. Dad kept shooting me looks across the table like he was waiting for me to cause trouble. Mom was overly cheerful, asking about my job and my apartment and whether I was dating anyone. I answered in short sentences, pushing food around my plate. "You seem distant," Mom said, her voice dripping with concern. "Is everything okay?" "Fine," I said. "Just tired." Dad set his fork down hard. "You know, Brooke, your mother worries about you. The least you could do is be pleasant when you're here. Something snapped. Pleasant? You want me to be pleasant? My voice was rising, and I couldn't stop it. I just found out I'm $96,000 in debt because of loans I barely remember signing. My credit is destroyed. I'm getting calls from debt collectors. And you want me to be pleasant? Dad's face went purple. You're tearing this family apart, he shouted. Everything was fine until you started making accusations. You're the problem here, Brooke. Not us. You. I stood up. My chair scraped against the floor. I'm the problem, I repeated quietly. Okay. I walked out. Neither of them followed me. The attorney's office was small and neat, tucked between a coffee shop and a dry cleaner. I'd found her online, specializing in financial fraud and identity theft. Her name was Caroline Pierce, and she had a reputation for not taking any garbage from anyone. She listened to my whole story without interrupting. When I finished, she leaned back in her chair and studied me. How far do you want to take this? She asked. What do you mean? I mean, your mother committed fraud. Possibly your father was complicit. You could press charges. This could end with them in jail. The thought made my stomach turn. But then I remembered Dad's face when he called me the problem. Mom's fake tears. The $96,000. I want to protect myself, I said. Legally separate my finances from theirs. Make sure this can never happen again. Caroline nodded. That I can do. But you need to understand, when families find out you're taking legal action, they don't usually react well. You might lose them. I looked at her. I think I already did. 2 weeks later, I invited my parents to dinner at my apartment. Mom sounded thrilled on the phone. Oh honey, I knew you'd come around. Should I bring anything? Just yourselves, I said sweetly. They showed up right on time, Dad carrying a bottle of wine, Mom with a store-bought pie. We ate pasta and talked about nothing important. Then, over dessert, I casually placed my phone on the table between us. Mom, I wanted to ask you something, I said, keeping my voice light. Those loans you've been taking out, how many are there now? She laughed nervously. Oh, just a few. Nothing to worry about. Why? I pressed record on my phone. She didn't notice. Just curious. Like, do you think it's okay to use someone else's credit to keep things going? She shrugged. Relax now. Well, honey, that's what family's for. You have good credit, I don't. It makes sense to use yours. It's not like it's really costing you anything. Even without asking? Oh, don't be dramatic. You would have said yes anyway. There it was. A confession. Clear and recorded. Actually, Mom, I continued carefully, I heard you might be trying to get approved for another loan. Is that true? Her eyes lit up. Well, yes. There's this amazing investment opportunity. I just need about $30,000 to get in on the ground floor. I was going to ask you about co-signing, but honestly, with your credit I might not even need you there. I can just... She stopped. Realized what she'd almost said. Dad's head snapped toward her. You were going to forge her signature again? The words were out before he could stop them. The room went silent. Mom's face drained of color. I looked at Dad. Again. He closed his eyes. He knew. He'd known all along. I stood up, my chair scraping loud in the quiet. You should know, I said calmly, that I've already contacted the bank and flagged my social security number. Any application using my information will automatically be denied and reported as potential fraud. Mom's face went from white to red. You did what? I protected myself. Something I should have done years ago. She stood up so fast her chair fell over. How dare you? After everything I've done for you. The yelling started then. Both of them, talking over each other, their voices blending into one angry roar. Ungrateful. Selfish. Terrible daughter. Ruining the family. I let them rage. When they finally ran out of breath, I spoke quietly. You need to leave now. You can't kick us out. Dad shouted. This is my apartment. I absolutely can. Leave, or I'll call the police. Mom grabbed her purse, tears streaming, real ones this time. You're going to regret this, Brooke. When you're alone and miserable, You'll regret turning your back on your family." They stormed out. The door slammed so hard a picture frame fell off the wall. I sat back down at my empty table and breathed. Really breathed. For the first time in years, I felt light. 3 days later, the letter arrived. My parents' loan application had been denied. Reason: suspected fraud associated with co-applicants' information. The bank was investigating. I'd given them everything I had: the recordings, the photos, the evidence of forgery. The machine was grinding forward now, and there was nothing Mom or Dad could do to stop it. Over the next 2 weeks, I watched their world start to crack. Mom's credit cards were frozen pending investigation. The bank flagged several accounts for suspicious activity. Debt collectors who'd been calling me started calling them instead. I'd made sure of that, working with Caroline to legally separate myself from their debt. If they'd taken it out fraudulently, they could pay it back themselves. Dad called me 12 times. I didn't answer. Mom left voicemails that started angry and slowly shifted to desperate. "Brooke, please. We need to talk. This is getting out of hand. Can't we just work this out as a family?" I deleted every message. Then I heard through a cousin that their cars had been repossessed. Both of them. Apparently, Mom had missed so many payments that the bank had finally taken action. The cousin told me this like she expected me to feel bad. Instead, I felt nothing. Just cold satisfaction. They'd spent years bleeding me dry. Now they were getting a taste of their own medicine. And I was done feeling guilty about it. The family barbecue was Dad's sister's idea. Aunt Patricia loved bringing everyone together, and she had no idea what was happening between me and my parents. I almost didn't go. But Caroline had encouraged me. "Let them see you're fine," she'd said. "Let them see they didn't break you." So I went. I walked into Aunt Patricia's backyard wearing a sundress and sunglasses, carrying a potato salad I'd bought from the store. Mom and Dad were already there, sitting at a picnic table with fake smiles plastered on their faces. When they saw me, Mom's smile faltered. I waved at Aunt Patricia and started talking to my cousins, acting like everything was normal. After about an hour, Mom couldn't take it anymore. She stood up, her voice loud enough to carry across the yard. "I need everyone to know what my daughter has done to us." The conversations died. Everyone turned. Here it comes, I thought. "She's destroyed our credit," Mom continued, tears in her eyes. "She's making up lies about us, spreading them to banks and lawyers. We're her parents, and she's treating us like criminals." People looked at me. Some sympathetic to her, some confused. I reached into my purse and pulled out my phone. "That's interesting, Mom," I said calmly. "Because I have a recording from 2 weeks ago where you admitted to using my credit without permission. Would everyone like to hear it?" Her face went gray. "You recorded me? You recorded your own mother?" Dad added, his voice rising. "That's sick." I pressed play. Mom's voice filled the yard, clear as day. "Well, honey, that's what family's for. You have good credit, I don't. It makes sense to use yours. It's not like it's really costing you anything." Then her laughing. Then her mention of forging signatures. The silence after the recording stopped was deafening. Aunt Patricia's hand was over her mouth. My cousins stared at Mom like they'd never seen her before. She took that out of context," Mom stammered. "That's not what I meant." But everyone had heard it. There was no context that could save her now. People started whispering. I saw the moment Mom realized she'd lost. Her shoulders sagged. Dad looked like he wanted to disappear into the ground. Their financial collapse happened fast after that. The bank investigation concluded that Mom had indeed forged my signature on 2 loans totaling $58,000. They filed charges. Criminal fraud. Dad was implicated too for knowing about it and helping hide it. I sat in Caroline's office when she told me. "They're probably looking at plea deals," she said. "Probation, fines, restitution. Probably no jail time since it's a first offense, but their credit will be destroyed for years." I thought I'd feel triumphant. Instead, I just felt tired. "What about me?" I asked. "You're clear. The fraudulent debts have been removed from your credit report. You're still responsible for the loans you actually co-signed, but I've negotiated payment plans for those. Your credit score will recover." She slid papers across her desk. There's one more thing. The house. I looked up. Their house? It's going into foreclosure. They can't afford the payments anymore. I'm telling you because it'll be auctioned in 2 months. If you want to. No, I said firmly. I don't want it. I was done saving them. I found a new apartment across town. Smaller than my old place, but it felt bigger somehow. Cleaner. Like a fresh start. The day I moved in, I threw away everything that reminded me of my parents. Photos, gifts, cards they'd given me over the years. All of it went in the trash. I kept one thing, a letter I'd written them but never sent. It said everything I'd wanted to say for years. About boundaries and respect and how love shouldn't feel like drowning. I put that letter in a drawer. Maybe one day I'd send it. Maybe not. 2 weeks after I moved, I drove past my parents' old house. There was a foreclosure sign in the yard. The grass was overgrown. The windows dark. I sat in my car across the street, watching. A neighbor came out, saw the sign, and shook her head. The same neighbor who used to call me ungrateful when I didn't visit enough. I wondered if she knew the truth now. If the gossip had reached everyone. I hoped it had. I pulled away and didn't look back. That house wasn't my problem anymore. They weren't my problem anymore. Dad called one more time from a number I didn't recognize. Against my better judgment, I answered. What? My voice was flat. Brooke. He sounded old. Broken. We need to talk. No, we don't. Your mother and I, we're losing everything. The house. Our savings. Everything. We need your help. I almost laughed. You need my help? Just a loan. Something to get us back on our feet. I'm your father. You can't just abandon us. I thought about hanging up. Then I realized I had something to say. You taught me that family takes care of family. Remember, Dad? You said that every time I hesitated to sign something. Every time I questioned Mom. Well, guess what? You're right. Family does take care of family. But that goes both ways. And you stopped treating me like family the moment you decided I was just a credit score you could use. I heard him breathing on the other end. Brooke, don't call me again. Don't come to my apartment. We're done. I hung up. Then I blocked the number. And that was it. The final conversation with my father. It felt right. Clean. 6 months later, I walked into my apartment with groceries and mail. The apartment was small but mine. Really mine. No one could take it from me because I'd earned it myself, built my credit back up slowly and carefully, made every payment on time. I put the groceries away, made tea, and sat down at my laptop. A notification popped up, my credit monitoring app. I opened it, already knowing what I'd see but needing to confirm it anyway. Credit score. 742. Excellent. All accounts current. No late payments. No fraud alerts. The last fraudulent loan had been officially closed and removed from my record. I was free. Really, truly free. I thought about Mom and Dad, wherever they were now. Probably in a small apartment, working to pay off their fines, rebuilding from nothing. Part of me felt sad about that. But only a small part. They'd made their choices. I'd made mine. I opened a blank document and started typing. Not a story about them. A story about me. About the woman I'd become. The one who learned to draw boundaries. Who learned that love without limits wasn't love at all, it was control. And I'd learned how to take mine back, one calm, devastating move at a time. The apartment was quiet except for my typing. Sunlight streamed through the windows. And for the first time in years, I felt something I'd almost forgotten existed. Peace. They taught me loyalty. I taught myself limits. And that, I thought as I smiled at my screen, made all the difference.